Am I the a-hole for not having a problem with my dad's family, not wanting a relationship with my 3-year-old half-sister? My mom and dad's family hate each other now because when my dad was terminally ill, my mom freaked out on him and had to be removed from his hospital room. What I know about what led to that is my mom cheated on my dad and he found out about it. He refused to forgive her or give his blessing for her to be with someone else. A few weeks after he found out, he changed what he was doing with his will and assets, set up a trust fund for me, and put his twin in charge of it instead of my mom. He added a bunch of his things to the trust too. When my mom found out, she flipped, and that's when she yelled at him. She called my dad selfish, a worthless POS, and told him to drop dead already, so she could be free from the role of nurse wife. I heard her, and so did my grandparents and dad's twin. The rest of his siblings were somewhere else, but once that incident happened, they and my mom fought relentlessly until my dad died. Then, when he was gone, she tried to keep me from them and only stopped when I told her I hated her and wished she wasn't my mom. She got upset and asked why I'd say that, and I told her I heard what she called my dad and said to him, and I knew she had upset him before too. She tried to make things better between us, but I couldn't forgive her for how she acted and for hating my dad when she was the one who betrayed him. Her relationship with my dad's family doesn't exist anymore, and they don't even talk about me now that I'm 17 and can make plans without her. When I was 13, she got married again, and when I was 14, she had my half-sister. My mom's an only child, and her parents died before she had me. Her husband doesn't have a relationship with his family. They adopted grandparents from an old folks' home when my half-sister was a baby, but those people died. So my mom decided my dad's family should step in because of me. She said we're siblings and half doesn't matter, and they should love my half-sister because she's my family. And she said I should want them to, that I should make them be there for her, so she doesn't grow up feeling unwanted. It's been like this for more than a year now. My mom brings it up every time I talk to or see someone in my dad's family. When I wouldn't ask them, she showed up at a family day and asked them to include my half-sister and to be her family, so she grew up not feeling so different and distant from me. My dad's family told her they wanted nothing to do with my half-sister, and that she isn't their family and never will be. My mom expected me to leave with her, but I stayed. Since that happened, my mom has been on my case more, and she's asking me if this is the kind of man I want to be. We fought, and I said stuff about her, how I still feel about her, and how I feel about my half-sister. I told her I didn't care that my dad's family said no to having a relationship with my half-sister, that I don't care, and it's her and her husband's problem to deal with, not mine. She told me I should care because it's my innocent half-sister we're talking about, not her, my mom, and the fight just escalated. Am I the a-hole? Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole, and I worry your mom is either high on something or very delusional. Why in the world would the parents of her deceased husband even acknowledge her affair baby? She says it's because my half-sister is my family, and my dad's family should think of the innocent kid. I think she even expects me to feel different if my dad's family actually starts to love my half-sister. But for years now, my mom has been different, or she's just let out how awful she is. So much nonsense from her has made me see her way different than I used to. Maybe she should have thought about your dad's family before she screwed another man? Even if new hubby came on the scene after your dad was gone, his parents don't owe her kids squat. I think she was with more than one guy when dad was sick. Her husband she met after. It got them into trouble because they worked together. I couldn't keep reading. My blood started boiling. Not the a-hole. Your sister is not that family's blood. And honestly, when you're able to move out, I say you seek your dad's family, seeing as your mom is trying to manipulate and gaslight you. I'm already moving in with them a few days before my birthday. We talked about it, and we have a plan for how it'll work without any hysteria from my mom. Not the a-hole. Also, she's 3, so how are they to have a relationship without mom involved? She's delusional. I even said that in a comment. It's wild to think with their history, my dad's family would be willing to deal with mom for a kid who isn't related to them and who even I don't even care about, beyond her being innocent, and I don't wish bad stuff on her or anything. Next story. Am I the a-hole for resisting family therapy and telling my bio parents I miss my real parents? My bio parents have me, 16 female, and my brother, 17 male, in family therapy with them because they want us to get over our grief and trauma and do more for them and our younger siblings. When my bio parents had my brother and then me, they were in their early 20s and let our grandparents take over most of the parental responsibilities. We practically lived with them, although not officially. We spent 7 days a week at our grandparents' house, and they took care of us. We'd sleep at our bio parents' place, but not every night, so sometimes we didn't see them for days. When I was about 6, my bio parents started trying for a baby, and I was 7 when they started over and had another kid, and then 2 more after that. My bio parents were more settled, but their focus was on the babies, and we were still at our grandparents' house every day. Eventually, we just felt like our grandparents were our real parents, and we called them mom and dad when talking to others, and our bio parents by their names. We actually always called our bio parents by their first names. When I was 13, Grandpa died in a car crash. Then, 6 months later, when my brother and I were staying with Grandma for a few nights, she had a huge seizure out of nowhere, and she died. We found her having the seizure, and the 2 of us were alone with her when she died. We were 14 and 15. It's been so hard without them. I miss my parents. And to me, they are my parents in all the ways that really count, because they did more for us than our bio parents ever did. Our bio parents didn't care what we'd gone through and expected us to just handle things on our own. But they started getting annoyed that we weren't acting like part of the family and didn't take over the oldest kid chores. We were self-sufficient, but didn't do anything for anyone else. We basically lived like we were adults with roommates we needed to avoid. Our bio dad told us we had better start doing more if we expected anything from them. Then our bio mom told us we needed to stop acting like we died when Grandma and Grandpa did and realize we owed something to the household we were living in. My brother told her to put us in foster care then, but she said that would never happen because they'd be on the hook for child support. Our younger siblings were confused by it all, and we're more like strangers because we never spent time with them or had any relationship, and we still don't. When my bio mom heard me cry to my brother about missing our parents, she said that was enough, and we needed therapy to get this situation fixed. I didn't want therapy, and I don't want a better relationship with my bio parents. I'd prefer they send me somewhere else instead of pretending we're an actual family or that they were ever real parents to us. They tell the therapist every week they want her to fix us, so we'll get the heck over it. Last week, when our session got intense with my bio parents arguing with the therapist, I told them I miss my real parents, and I'll never stop missing the real parents who actually raised me. Because of what I said, they were more angry at me for not trying in therapy and for saying something like that to make the therapist dig deeper into things. Am I the a-hole? Therapy won't be what they think it will be. Any good therapist will tell them they need to respect your grief. Not the a-hole. Exactly this. Grief doesn't have a timeline, and it definitely can't be pushed aside just because it makes other people uncomfortable. You're not refusing to heal. You're just being honest about where you're at and what you need. A real therapist would validate that, not force a narrative that ignores your pain. I am so sorry for your losses. Can you call the therapist yourself before the next session and request time with the therapist without your parents? I think therapy could be a great tool, but not if you can't speak freely and are going to be in trouble for what you say. There may be some options to get emancipated from your parents. Your therapist may be able to hook you up with a guardian ad litem who could help you navigate the court. There may be other options as well. There's nothing wrong with missing your parents. What is wrong is how your biological parents are treating you. My bio parents refused therapy for me and my brother alone, which was suggested by the therapist, so we can't have sessions alone with a therapist. I don't know if we'd be realistically able to meet the criteria for emancipation because we would need to be able to support ourselves, and everything's so expensive now. But we're both saving. You may be able to consent to treatment at the age 16. You can in Kentucky. May seriously be something to look into. I'm a therapist in the state. I didn't know about that. I'll look and see if we can do that here. Although paying would be an issue right now, still doesn't hurt to look. Thank you. Last story. Am I the a-hole for telling my dad and his fiancée how I truly feel and sending my dad into a deep depression? I am 18 male, am an only child. I live with my mom full-time. My parents are divorced. Some quick context. My entire life, my mom always picked up after me and my dad. They both worked full-time, but my mom handled breakfast, lunch, dinner, groceries, cleaning, laundry. What did my dad do? Mow the lawn, shovel snow, fix things like the sink if it ever broke. When I was younger, I always loved my dad because he would do fun things with me. Take me to sports games, play with me in the yard sometimes, buy me McDonald's or ice cream. He was the fun parent, and my mom was the caring one. She always made me food, helped me in school, packed my bags, comforted me when I was sad, and took care of me when I was sick. When I got older, I started to realize more and more how much my mom did, while my dad would sit on the couch and watch TV or stuff like that. My mom asked me when I was quite young to help her out with cleaning, etc., and I remember I would get mad at her when she asked. I didn't want to clean. Who does? But one day, after she got annoyed that I didn't even pick up after myself, I yelled at her to leave me alone. I was probably like 12, and that day I heard her cry in the bathroom afterward. When I realized I made her cry, it clicked in my head that she was doing everything for us, and Dad did barely anything. And I did absolutely nothing at all. It felt like I grew up super quickly over the course of a week, and I started helping my mom a lot more. It became a bonding thing for us, talking and helping each other out with cleaning and groceries, etc. My dad was still the fun parent, would take me to games and all that, but I grew more and more annoyed that he didn't help out at all. I think when I was about 14, I once said to his face that he never helps out around the house, and he got furious with me. He yelled in my face and sent me to my room. My mom comforted me and told me to just let him be. You and I got this alone anyway. The few times he was dragged into helping, he would always make a mess somehow, and it would end in an argument between him and Mom. I've realized now he most likely did a bad job on purpose, so we wouldn't ask him for help. When I was 15, Mom found out that Dad cheated. He had been for like a year. They had the biggest fight ever, and my dad left us that night to live with his mistress and her daughter from a previous marriage. He came a few days later and picked most of his stuff up. I don't remember much about how the divorce went, other than my mom being a wreck. When it was finalized, she honestly broke down even more. I fed her, helped her into the shower, held her at night. I've never seen her that bad, and if I didn't hate my dad for what he had done in general, I started absolutely despising him for what he did to Mom. Family from Mom's side would help us too, but it was mostly me since no one could really move in and stay with us full-time. I picked up a job at 16 to help at home. It took my mom maybe half a year to start getting back to her old self. She grew into someone better, happier, and I had never seen her so full of life when she was with Dad. A month or two after the divorce was over, my dad started pushing for me to live with him 50% of the time. I told him to buzz off basically, but Mom said I shouldn't shut him out completely, so I went to him every other weekend. He tried to be all nice to me and so did his mistress, but I hated their guts. The mistress, let's call her Hannah, tried to be nice to me, but also bossed me around, and I basically ignored her. Her daughter tried to bond with me, but I ignored her. Barely even a year after the divorce was over, Hannah got pregnant, and they had another daughter. Dad and Hannah have tried to push for me to be a big brother for them, but I couldn't care about them less. Now I'm 18, and I gradually stopped going to my dad's. I barely ever stay a night, I just visit, and my dad keeps trying to blame my mom for it. Hannah gives me more and more attitude, and tries to use her daughters to guilt me into staying over, saying they miss their big brother. You're so selfish. We had a big confrontation when I visited last. I stayed for 20 minutes before Hannah started trying to lecture me, so I just started leaving. Dad blocked my way and told me I have to grow up and leave the past in the past. He said I can't be mad forever and I'm acting as if I don't love him, and that we're all family. That just set me off. I started screaming at him that I haven't loved him in years. I told him that he was always a lazy POS who acted more like a child than a husband to Mom. She always cleaned up after him, cleaned the house alone, washed his clothes, made him food, fetched him another beer, even though the kitchen was 5 steps away. But all that ever came out of his mouth were complaints and demands. I told him he took me out to do fun things, sure, but that's not all there is to being a dad. He was never there for me, helped me in school, drove me anywhere or picked me up, comforted me. And then he did the worst possible thing. After years of standing on my mother's back and using her, he went and banged a random woman and absolutely broke her. I screamed about how a kid had to pick up the pieces of his own mother because his father was such a POS and useless garbage. I felt nothing for him. In fact, I hated his guts still, and I hated his mistress too. I turned to Hannah and told her that she means nothing to me. She has no authority over me. I don't give a damn about her or her kids. I told them both I wished nothing bad on their daughters. But Hannah is a horrible person for filling her kids' heads with lies about how I'm their brother, when I've repeatedly told them I'm not. Then I looked my dad in the eyes and said, "My father was dead to me years ago, and that man wasn't even a good dad. You're just a stranger to me." I pushed my way past him and left. When I got home, I told my mom everything and cried. She hugged me and told me she understands my emotions, but wishes I wasn't so aggressive, for my own sake. My mom has never said a bad thing about my dad despite everything, and when I would curse him out, she always told me it wasn't worth it. My dad and his new family were silent for a few days, but then Hannah started bombarding me with texts about how I was a horrible son, and how my dad hasn't stopped crying since. I know he always wanted a son and wanted a close bond, but he's failed me as a father, and I don't care. But family from Hannah's side, I've met like once or not at all, have also started messaging me saying I was out of line and everyone makes mistakes. But I don't think it's a mistake. I genuinely think my dad's a POS and I don't owe him anything. But I guess all the hate from so many people has me doubting myself. Maybe I should have just left without a word? So yeah, am I the a-hole? Now for the comments. Not the a-hole OP. Your father created this mess, and now he has to live with the consequences of his actions. I would block numbers of everyone who is supporting him, as you don't need their negativity. I would also suggest counseling of some sort, not for anyone else but yourself. And I would tell his side piece and her flying monkeys that any further harassment from them will lead to you seeking a restraining order. I'd be telling her to watch out too, because any day now, Dad will be looking to fill the empty mistress role. Go no contact. He is a POS you don't need to waste time on. People really need to start living with the consequences of their actions. The rate at which I read stories like this is starting to get alarming.